Welcome back to the Two Months Hockey Podcast presented by Kentwood Ford in Edmonton. I am your host, Joshua Marshall, and we have two of our co-hosts joining us this evening as there's some eliminations that happened tonight in the National Hockey League playoffs. Our first co-host is with us. His name is Nick. Nick, how's it going?
Pretty good. Thank you. How are you tonight?
I am pretty good, pretty tired, but pretty good. And do a good pod here and then get it all ready to get out and head to bed. I would get a good 8 hours of sleep. And then we have good old Philly with us, Phil Stockley, Philadelphia. What is going on, buddy?
Not much, buddy. Just here, excited to talk some hockey. Like you said, some eliminations happened tonight. An elimination last night as well. And some good series here in the West. They're really tight, so lots to chat about.
Yeah. Obviously, congratulations to the Carolina Hurricanes as they punched their ticket to the second round and they knocked off the New Jersey Devils in 5 games. And wasn't the same Devils team that we would have saw all year. No, the Hughes brothers weren't in the lineup. Friend of the pod and Dylan wasn't in the lineup. So some back end injuries, and then obviously not having some star power up front will change the complexion of your team. And obviously, they'll have to do some rethinking in New Jersey to reshape that roster in terms of getting back to where they want to get to in a long playoff run. So we'll see how that goes. But again, the Carolina.
And
Go ahead.
also that gives the Flames a nice little mid-round first pick there, eh?
Yeah, with everything going tonight and last night, so obviously the Habs will get the 16th overall pick, and the Flames will get the 18th overall pick. So instead of two first round picks for the Flames, they'll end up having that's just that one in the first mid round. I think they have three anyway. Still, I think
No,
one in the later rounds. Don't.
yeah. No, we got Vegas's first two, don't we, this year?
That's what I mean. Yeah. So they would instead of they would have two in the mid round at first, but they got Vegas is later in the first
Yeah.
round, I believe. So, anyways, yeah, we'll clean all that stuff up. We'll figure that out. We're not here to talk about draft picks right now. So Phil is because everything ties back to the Calgary Flames. That's all Phil cares about is the Flames.
Well,
But
that's why I wanted Jersey out to get that pick nice and high as we can.
yeah, exactly. So, but hey, as you said to me, what last year, the Flames will never be that bad to be this good when it turns to, they're just never going to draft first overall. But, anyways, we will get there. Winnipeg just scored, so they're up 3-2, 7 minutes left in the second period. And obviously, we had the Florida Panthers knocking off the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Washington Capitals knocking off the Montreal Canadiens. So yeah, pretty much the West is still obviously going, and the East is pretty much finishing up, and the Leafs are giving everyone a heart attack. If you're a Leaf fan, you're aging them as well as you can, as they always are. But Phil, in the elimination games, all of the three that have happened, what is your thoughts on the teams that have went through? Any surprises?
I'm just actually gonna pull up our picks from a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think I called it. I think I said Montreal would win one at home, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I
but
was
I
off
think I
on
did
the
have
New
the
Jersey. I was off
Capitals
on the
going
New
through.
Jersey one. Yeah, go ahead though if you have them there.
And then I did say that you know what, I have to give him credit because I did make a comment about Jacob Markstrom in New Jersey, and I said that's why they were going to lose, and I think that was the only reason they were in double overtime last night was because of Markstrom. So I thought he played excellent. Really funny story though. My kids were watching the game with me, and one of my kids was like, I guarantee you, if Markstrom loses, he's gonna smash his stick over the post. And yeah, sure enough, there's like a
He wanted
highlight
to
of him
fire that
smashing
thing
his.
in the crowd into the players, and he went the opposite way in terms of that one. Didn't you? I don't know if you saw that one, Nick. So
I did, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And then like the Panthers, they're just a wagon, man. They're gonna be I don't know. They might be my cup favorites right now. They look really good against Tampa Bay. So
yeah. I had Tampa in seven, so obviously I was completely wrong in that one. Nikita Kucherov, 0 goals in his last 15 playoff games. I don't think anyone would have thought that stat would be
Wow.
believable, but yeah, 0 goals. in his last 15 playoff games. He's a point per game with the assists, but he has not scored a goal. And you need your best players to score. So yeah, that was a tough one there. And again, I had New Jersey and 6. I thought for sure that they would do something. So hey, I'm not good at all this. I don't do fantasy or any of this stuff for obviously these reasons. So I guess it makes me look like I don't know what I'm talking about. But uh,
I'm 3 for 3, man.
yeah, I'm not doing too good on that, but I did have Washington, but I had Washington at 7. I thought the Habs would do a bigger and figure dance. Nick, your thoughts on these series that have closed out so far?
I mean, after watching the early games of Carolina, New Jersey, I realized that my pick of New Jersey in 7 was way off, and that was going to be a short series. I always thought the Washington series was going to be short. I understand Montreal is exciting, but they're young. Washington's grizzled, and they're way up in the top of the league for a reason. The one that probably stood out to me the most was the Florida Tampa series. Tampa went 0 for 3 at home, which in the playoffs you just cannot do. And I mean, even their power play, I think they were 0, they had a streak of 0 and 15 on the power play. Tampa did at one point in that series before they scored tonight on like if Florida's going to put you on the power play that often, you gotta score, especially in the playoffs. And Tampa, you're used to seeing their power play scoring goals. The Kucherov stat right there probably explains a lot of their power play issues. If he's not scoring, then yeah, especially on the power play, that's probably what cost him in the end.
Yeah, I was not good at all, and we'll see what happens there. I think it was Larry Brooks today had a report that John Cooper would be the head coach in, was it Utah, I believe. So he obviously still has another year with the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I don't know if that will change, but there is 8 head coaching positions available in the National Hockey League now. So a few over the last little bit since we've been on together. Rick Tocchet says no to a 5-year deal, which would have paid him $6 million over each year. But he said no to the Canucks, and then obviously the mutual parting of ways with Sullivan and the Pittsburgh Penguins, where he walks away, I think, from $10.5 million. But these guys will recuperate that and figure that all out, because they will be two of the hottest coaches demanded here. And we'll see where all that goes. Nick, as a Flyers fan, before we get into the playoff talk here, who would you like to see as your next head coach out of the guys that are available now?
For me, I'd really like to see Rick Tocchet there. Um, I really liked what he did in Vancouver. Obviously, this year wasn't so great, but I mean, I think he wasn't he nominated, or didn't he win the Jack Adams not that long ago? Like he's a really good coach. So I would love to have him in Philly. I think he'd be great for that group.
Yeah, he was a runner-up last year, and I think Burnett won it. So, and Andrew Burnett and Ryan Huska had joined Dean Evison on the Team Canada World Hockey Championship coaching staff as of today. It was reported last week, but they made the official announcement today. Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. And then obviously Joel Quenneville is going to have a second interview with the Anaheim Ducks. Phil, your thoughts on maybe Coach Q making his way back to the National Hockey League?
Well, it depends who you ask, right? There's no denying he's an amazing coach. He's a great coach. Whatever happened in Chicago, is unfortunate. But you saw Stan Bowman got a position with the Oilers here. Um, you know, if he ends up coaching Anaheim Duck, he's gonna have a nice young uh group of players to bring along, and I think he will do a great job with that organization.
Yeah, you probably just got to figure out some of those off ice things as you go. We'll see how that is. And obviously, a pretty interesting press conference with the Detroit Red Wings in terms of Stevie Y and Todd McClellan. It was an interesting one yesterday as well too. But I don't know if you guys saw any of those clips or watched any of it, but you have. You can
I did.
thoughts.
Um, I don't know. It's like I feel like the media is getting like we saw it today again too in Edmonton here, with Calvin Pickard. I don't know. The media, they're getting a little braver with these questions and these comments towards coaches and players, and I don't know, like Stevie Y was just kind of it just sounded like he'd had enough.
Yeah. Well, Nick, you're a big NBA guy. Did you see that press conference with the Lakers head coach JJ Redick and that reporter today?
I sure did, and he walked right away,
Yeah,
right off.
I had enough of
So
that. So,
yeah,
you know what? Hey, I've been a part of those, fortunately, over the last 2 years. Um, I know it sounds like easy to say in terms of like my approach at what I'll say on this going in, positive, 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 because they know if they made a mistake in terms of the players. I don't need to ask them a question why they made a mistake. I understand some fans want to hear why did you make that mistake. They know why they made the mistake. So sometimes you don't really need to hear from them. Sometimes you do. I get it as well. But I don't need to tell them what, like, why did you make that mistake or rehash that play to them. That's the way I look at it. I'm not saying other media members need to do that. It's that they do. My approach is the approach that I go in with is in terms of just positive reinforcement, encouragement, figure all that part out. Because you do see it now where the whole point is like look you like for instance you see spec like it's cringeworthy with him right so it's like it's the players you could see the players are just what's the next question that doesn't make a lot of sense coming out of your mouth in terms of what you have to say so I'm assuming spec rates great articles I don't read his stuff so I have no idea but I'm assuming he's doing something still good to keep his job with Sportsnet and all that. So it is interesting, but there is that bravery. I think you're saying, Phil, where they're just, hey, I'll say whatever I want to say. I'll ask you whatever I want to ask you. I don't really care what the repercussions are. I think we've seen that last year in the playoffs where Darnell Nurse got called out for making 9.5 million or whatever it was, and Frank Saravalli wrote an article that wasn't a good article and then didn't want to answer to the music the next day and ran away from Darnell Nurse. So, and Darnell wanted to have a word with him. And I know that didn't sit well with the rest of that locker room because you don't bring up contracts or numbers and stuff like that. So, it is changing in ways, but it might not
But
be
look at the attention it gets, right? And it's like
exactly.
I guess some of these media guys are okay with the negative attention. I
Yeah.
don't think I would want to be known for that, but
No. Hey, the reason why we've made the relationships that we had with the players in the NHL and managers and coaches is because it's a positive one. No one's going to come on this podcast or text or call or mention us if we're going to do something negative. So, that's just not going to happen. And I know everyone came we're going to talk about a few series here, quickly run it down. But you know what? I know it's a hot button topic. I've posted it on social media. I'm not asking for Nick and Phil to make a comment. And if you guys want to, you guys can. But it is very obvious that Jack Michaels is the biggest homer in the National Hockey League. He loves his Oilers. Um, so it is interesting where he lies on there, and same with Louis DeBrusque. They are great at their job. They are regional guys and should stick with regional guys, but they shouldn't be new in national games. That is just my personal opinion. As a fan of the game, if you've got no stakes in either of those teams playing, it's kind of hard to watch because you know where the commentators are leaning towards. And I just thought last night was a very disrespectful broadcast in terms of the way Jack Michaels was talking about Darcy Kemper and a guy that just got nominated for the Vezina and was picking on him all game. So just didn't like that. It's very unprofessional, and I would not be happy if I was a family member of that family or a fan of Darcy Kemper's or supportive of the LA Kings. That was very unclassy of him to do that because he doesn't do that on the other end. And it's pretty clear he's a homer if you look at his personal accounts and in that he's personal videos of the Oilers game winning goals, and he hasn't done that for the LA Kings. And it's okay. He works for the Oilers. That is his niche. That's where that's who he caters to. So it's and on the prospect on the other side, like Nick and you and I were talking about this off recording in terms of like the overdrive guys. Where Hayes and where O-Dog stand in terms of their loyalty, their Jets, either Leaf fans. Noodles likes his Flames. He likes the Sens. So like, there's nothing wrong with that. They cover those teams on a basis. So it is interesting, that you just embrace that's who you cover and that's who you cheer for. So it's all good in terms of that is the way I would look at that. But and the Jets just scored, looks like a minute left in the second period. So 4-2 Jets. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys want to comment on that or you guys move along? I know.
I can. I'll just say it's really hard because Oiler fans love Jack. They love that broadcast. They love Jack and Louie, and you can't say anything about it, or else they're like right down your throat. And that's okay. Those are their guys, right? That's
Mhm.
it's part of their team. It's the same thing. Like you can't say anything. You can't say anything negative about the Oilers either, or else you're going to jump down your throat, right?
Yeah.
Unless they're losing, and then they'll join you. But um, yeah, it's just kind of funny to like see both sides, right? Because like I said, you get the Oiler fans, they love Jack, they love Louis, they love that they're calling the games, and whatever. I'm happy for them. They get to hear Jack and Louis, like whatever. But you talk to anybody else, and you go to any other like social media page or anything, and people don't agree with it. People don't like it. People, um, like you said, they kind of feel like it's a bit disrespectful to the Kings. And, it's something you said before we hit record too. Like, what station is Darcy Kemper's mom and dad watching? Probably living in Canada,
Yeah. Yeah.
probably watching Sportsnet. And
Yeah.
um,
Like I don't know
so
the
yeah,
Kings family at all. I do want to say, like I told Jack, like there is a member of the Kings family that texted me and said this is hard. It wasn't the Kemper family, but there was another family member of the LA Kings that lives in Canada was watching and said this is awful. This is not good. I can tell they don't like my son's team and they're cheering against my son and they keep picking on my son on the broadcast. And I've never experienced that before ever in all his years of him playing in this league until now. And so that's a fact that I got that text message from that family. So that was tough to hear and tough to read. Addressed it with Jack. He views it his way, and that's all good, fine and dandy, and loyal to the oil. That's what these fans are, and they're very passionate. They're very about their team. They listen to this podcast. Like we have a following on them. I'm not bashing the fan base at all. I'm not. You are loyal to your team, and as most fan bases are, and you're probably more loyal than any other team in the league that I would say. I live here, so we see it firsthand. It could be the same if I lived in Toronto or lived in Montreal, but you do live here and you're passionate for your fans. Like that's all good. But picking every at the start of the broadcast, throughout the broadcast, kind of picking on players, going at players like that. That's typically not what you hear, and it might be a regional thing, but definitely not something you would expect on a national broadcast. And it has happened, and it's pretty clear it was happening last night for the Kemper family. But I don't know, Nick, do you have any comments towards this, or how do you feel about watching it in terms of, I know you're talking about how great the US broadcasts have been throughout this and even in the NBA playoffs as well, too.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Like I said before, I do watch games on mute if I don't like the broadcast team, and the other broadcasts are definitely ones I can't watch with sound. So being a hockey buff, I like to sit there and make my own commentary sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know what? Like I like I think you guys covered it perfectly. National broadcast should be with impartial guys because you're not just broadcasting to the one specific team's fans, you're broadcasting to a country. And there's just a different level of viewership. And I
Yeah.
think there needs to be a little bit more fairness with everybody and with everybody watching because honestly, not everybody that's watching that series even probably knows all the players in the Oilers as it is.
Correct. Yeah. 100%. I agree. Yeah, we'll finish up on that. I don't think there's any more to say. Again, like I told Jack, I think he's great at his job. He knows how to cater to his audience that is loyal to him, and he's loyal back to them. Um, we'll agree to disagree. I don't think he should be doing national games. He is, and that is that. And he'll probably continue until however long the Oilers are in. I don't know if he'll re-rate to the Cup final. I don't know what the plan is. If it's just a one round thing or whatever, we'll get it as we get it. In terms of it, obviously we know Chris Cuthbert and Craig Simpson go right to the Stanley Cup final as always. So so maybe the Jack and Louis are up there until the conference final. Who knows? But we'll see how it goes. In terms of it, but let's move over to the NHL report and our Oilers report. Sponsored by our friends at Shadified Salon and Barbershop. They got the 3 locations in Edmonton. I was just there yesterday, so thanks to Shadi and the team. They can myself and others look fresh, and also the making the Edmonton Oilers look fresh on the ice, and that's what they do, and that's what they are right now. They are a fresh team. They are humming 3 in a row, and have a chance to punch their ticket to the second round tomorrow night. As Jason Greger, as Jason Greger said on his show today, in elimination games where the Oilers can go on, the Oilers are 6-0. That is not including Game Sevens. I guess that doesn't include the Dallas Game 7 or the Florida Panthers Game 7 last year. But anyways, the Oilers are they have a good record in elimination games. If you want to say they're 6-2 or they're 6-0, whatever, they're above 500 at the end of the day. And that you can't say that for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we'll get to them in a second. But Nick, what are you seeing here that is turned the tide of the series, and can the LA Kings find a way to claw this back to Los Angeles?
Jeez, honestly, at this point, I don't think so. The biggest thing that sticks out for me with this series is the third period. In the last 3 games, so LA has led 4 times going into the third, and they've been tied once. And the only game where LA actually outscored Edmonton in the third period was in game 2. And we obviously had the pod after that game that night. And, I went on and said that it looked like they kind of learned something from game 1 where they let Edmonton back in the game in the third, but, they kept pushing. Since then, LA has not scored a goal in the third period, and Edmonton scored 8. And LA needs to find, if they're going to have any chance tomorrow night, they need to find a way to carry their game into the third period. Because Edmonton, you know, they play fast, and when they're humming, they're really hard to slow down. But if you're laying off them, if you're not pressuring them on your forecheck or anything like that, you're giving them opportunities to move the puck out of their zone. Pressure creates turnovers, and if they're not doing that, LA doesn't have a chance, I don't think, of getting back.
Yeah, it's they can't be running the guys they're running. They can't go 8 forwards and 4D. I think Biz said it the best on their game notes podcast today in terms of you can't be running no player in this league 30 minutes plus a night. It's impossible. You're done. And I think right now Jim Hiller's getting out coached and in a lot of ways. And at first he was the one doing the out coaching, and now it's turned big time, Phil. And I know where you stand with your loyalty on a lot of this stuff, but what do you think the Kings can do, and what has the Oilers just really done? Is it just the fact that they've just gotten healthy? And as Connor McDavid said before the series started, we're, as a healthy team, we are a very, very dangerous team.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that statement from Connor McDavid because he's on the team. And if he's healthy and Draisaitl's healthy, and you even look at Trent Frederick, he's looking good. He's healthy now. Um, like they can be very dangerous. I just feel like the Kings are just letting off the gas in the third period, and they're sitting back and trying to protect a lead. And, you know, as somebody who sees the Oilers quite often, you can't do that with this team. It's like in it was a game 4
Mm-hmm.
where Bouchard, he tied it late. It's like it's not if they're gonna tie it, it's when they're gonna tie it. Like that's how I feel about this team. And it's like you think about it, like Byfield could get the puck out, and this is a 3-1 series lead going back to LA. 3-1 compared to 2-2 is so different.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think sitting back and trying to weather the storm, you're never going to weather the storm against the Oilers. They are too dangerous when they're pushing, and then when they get the extra attacker out. I just feel like it's almost a guaranteed goal. And now they're like the power plays have flipped, right? LA's power plays just it's just wild to me. LA's power play has just gone black, and the Oilers has turned to gold.
Yeah. Yeah. The Kings got that one on the power play last game, but it wasn't, that was all they got, right? And they had other opportunities throughout the game. But the bounces are definitely going their way in somewhat, you could say, Nick, right? You're seeing the Oilers getting the bounces and the lucky plays, like, and that's how it works out in hockey. You know, it's all about capitalizing on the opportunities that you get and that are given to you, and that the Oilers are making them pay when the Kings lay back and let that happen to them.
Yeah, absolutely. You create your own luck and with a little bit of speed and some hard work, and that's it's kind of where it's at. And if you can get a team on their heels, and Edmonton's got those, has the big guns, you get the Kings on their heels, and it's basically you're skating downhill for the rest of the game, and it's really tough for LA to get that momentum back.
Yeah. So do we conceive this is done in six guys here? Like, I know not all agreement on a podcast is good, but it's kind of hard to bet against this team too. And I definitely thought the Kings would put up a better fight. I thought they were a better team this year, but it's really weird that you would have, look at Jordan Spence. Like, he's in and out of the lineup. This guy had almost 30 points this year. He's a plus like 28. He's played 79 games in the league, and the coaching staff has no confidence in him in the playoffs here. And you're really asking those top four guys to carry the load. And it feels like the whole coaching staff from the LA Kings is really taking their whole team right out of the series. So when you see that, like, and that didn't change last game, they were doing the same thing last game. It's just running the same guys through. A little bit of leniency to the third period, giving those guys some shifts, but not as much as you would think. And Phil, is this done tomorrow night?
It looks that way, in my opinion. I just feel like once these guys get going, and it just looks like they're firing on all cylinders right now. I think you told me like last night that the Oilers actually put together a 60-minute complete game, and they looked good for the whole game.
Yeah.
Um, it
Dangerous good. Like, it's like you could be an Oiler hater. You might not want to cheer for the team, but you got to tip your cap. Like, that was a performance of a lifetime last night. Like, you could kind of compare the Ottawa one, but the Ottawa wasn't as convincing. Like, yes, they wanted a shutout. They did what they had to do. They played a good road game. They went in. Oilers played a good road game. But man, it's eerily similar of the LA Kings in their first cup run, where they didn't lose many games and they were just beating teams up. I think every series in the four series LA had, they were up 3-1 in a lot of in every series, or 3-0. Some of them they won in five, some of them they won in four. But they only lost like three games the entire playoffs, maybe four. And the Oilers, yes, they've lost two, but the Florida Panthers just easily put out Tampa Bay, and all the experts were saying the Lightning were the best team going into the Eastern Conference playoffs. And the Florida Panthers have said, yeah, I don't know about that. And with a healthy team, they're pretty dangerous. And, I know Luke Gazdick's on the broadcast. He predicted a Oilers-Panthers Cup final, but a reverse, the Oilers winning in seven. That was his prediction. But yeah, I don't know, Nick. You kind of got to tip your cap into a team that's just really figured it out and has gotten healthy. And I know there was reports earlier on Ekholm coming back around too. That is not happening. Elliot Friedman confirmed that today on his podcast. Like, I don't know why some reporters here in Edmonton said that Ekholm's coming back around too, but he's definitely not. And but when he comes back and the Oilers get as further as they can, that is going to be a huge boost to their lineup. And maybe Emberson's the guy out, but Klingberg's looked good, Nick, too, right?
Yeah, he has. A lot better than what I expected him to be honest with you. They needed they needed something in that back end, early in the series they had Josh Brown in there, and putting Klingberg in, he's obviously a vet, and you know he's been around for a long time, and he's really helped out. He's exceeded my expectations, especially from when they first signed him. My expectations were not high for him, but he's done well.
Yeah. And tip your cap, man. Calvin Pickard. Tip your cap to Calvin Pickard, guys, because he has definitely done.
Isn't he the backup?
He is the backup. Yeah, that is what Mark Spector said. So he
Yeah,
is the
sorry,
backup.
inside joke.
Yeah, exactly. But so we'll see. You know, he obviously is going to get the game six start, and they punch their ticket. You just keep riding the hot hand. You win, you're in. But it's a good story, though, Nick, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he came in in the Vancouver series last year too, and
Yeah.
was a big difference maker for them, and really gave them a chance to win that series and keep them alive. And it'll be interesting to see. I'm interested tomorrow night to see what LA's desperation level looks like. It's going to be a weird spot for them because they haven't been a good road team this year. But they're gonna have to gut it out and figure out a way, and they're gonna have to get to Pickard. I think they're gonna have to rely on Kemper to have another night like he had the other night. Like he stopped 43 or 45 in game five. Like that's pretty good,
Yeah.
you know,
And he's stopped and he's had 73 high danger scoring chances against him in the last two games.
which is ridiculous.
That you don't even get that in a 7 game series. To have that happen in just 2 games is quite it's quite crazy
Yeah.
to see it. So but yeah, so we'll see how it all goes here going forward. And anyways, yeah, let's move forward. Let's move forward on this here, and let's talk about anything else on this series, or no? We have anything else you guys wanted to chime in on?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah, I'm good too. I would like to think that LA is going to be able to come in here tomorrow and win a game, but I don't see it happening, not at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Same here. Not much confidence there in terms of when you bet against Connor and Leon, and when they smell blood, they pounce, and that team does too. So they're just a very veteran, experienced team, and they have a lot of poise in terms of being in this situation to close out when they need to close it out. So you got to appreciate that in terms of all of that. And that elimination record might be higher than 6-2 because they've won some ones where they were on the verge of elimination. So it'd be interesting to see exactly the full stat on that. So maybe someone that's listening can chime in on that. But anyways, let's move on here in terms of that. I think let's do a quick run on this Leaf Sens series in terms of just um, a lot of in terms of Toronto. I'm a Leaf fan, but I don't think it's wrong for Leaf fans to kind of have the doubt or the second guessing that they've had in terms of it. You look at Austin Matthews, got 2 goals in his last 15 playoff games. They're 0 for 30 on the power play in their last, I think it's 14 elimination games. They're 1-13 in their last 14 elimination games. Like the numbers are not lying in terms of like they can't get it done. That is concerning. So I don't know, Phil, where do you go here? Like you just got to tip your cap. Like the Sens are a good team. They're well coached. They're well balanced. They have a goaltender who's won a Vezina before. Like they're not a bad team either. They're not a weak team.
No, I don't think they're a weak team either, and they're up and coming too. Like they're on the way up right now. Um, I understand the PTSD that Toronto Maple Leaf fans are going through because it just seems like the same old story with their superstars. Like, when is Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Nylander, like when are they going to step up in these elimination games and actually do something?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if they may never will. They just may be one of those types of great regular season players. And when it comes to the biggest moments, like they didn't really have the greatest formations. Like, yes, they had some points, and obviously Marner had the assist on the game winning goal and all that, but they didn't can have convincing great 4 games. And obviously Matthews missed one of the 4 in the Four Nations as well, too. And he had his chances. And I know in game 4 he hit the post and then back in the Four Nations, Binnington made like 3 or 4 10 bell saves on him in the overtime. But I don't know, maybe he's just cursed. I don't know. What are you seeing, Nick, with this group and why it's so fragile?
I'll be honest, I don't really understand why. I mean, you look at this team, They had the second most wins in the league this year with 52. They've won 3 playoff games already this year. And I get, the previous year and the previous years and all the demons and all these stats and stuff. And I think at this point it has to just be a mental thing. But I mean, if I'm on that team, I'm looking around, I'm like, okay, Tavares and Marner aren't under contract next year. This team could look a lot different next season. So, I want to try and go as far as I can with this particular group. And I mean, all those guys, whether it's Matthews or Nylander, the two guys I just mentioned, Morgan Riley, like all these guys, they brought in the Tanev this summer and Ekman Larson, and they traded for Carlo. Like, they have a group that to me, it shouldn't be this hard for them just to win. All they have to do is win one game.
Yeah.
Like they have 4 chances to win one game. You can't tell me I don't. You're a Leaf fan. Did they ever lose 4 straight this year? Did they have a 4-game losing streak at any point this season?
I think it was more three. They had a few blenders throughout the year, but they haven't had anything like this. Like Stolar's this season in himself was 12-2 after a loss. So he has in himself gone in a streak, and I obviously have done a good job rotating him and Wool. But no, they haven't done it. But a lot of people look at the Oilers on the verge of winning 4 straight. People are like, it's so hard to win 4 straight. Well, the Oilers are doing it in so much of it a different way, but in an easier way. I know it sounds easier, but it's still hard too. I know it's a kind of a weird comment to make, but like the Oilers look like a well-oiled machine, and they don't allow this stuff to happen and these teams to take them. And the Leafs, it's just not one, but three, but four. But like they all had a bad game last night, and you could put Matthew Nyes like they're -3, -4, -4, -4. Like all of them, had a bad game last night, and it's not like they gave up any bad goals. They're just they gave up 2 in net and they gave up 2 empty netter goals. But it is in their heads, and it continues to be in their heads. And the way they're playing, they're gonna if they somehow get through, they're gonna need to elevate their game to play the Florida Panthers. As everyone knows, I would not want to play them the way they're playing right now. But it's going to be a hard one to close out. It is a hard league, but you're on the verge of this team looking a lot different. I don't think they bring back Marner. I don't think they bring back Tavares. Maybe if they go further, they do. But if they get eliminated in the first round, those guys aren't coming back. And I'd even at some point start thinking you might have to trade either Nylander or Matthews, one of the two, to even shake it up even more. And I know that's saying something, but there has to be more changes in that organization. This is 9 years in a row, guys, and it's I know they love to say it. Well, we're still in control. It's up 3-2, but when you put a seed of doubt in anyone, it's kind of hard to get rid of that. And it is there. The Sens have done it, and they're a good team. I keep somewhat sleeping on them, and somewhat I guess I did too. But I think I had the Leafs in 7 in this series. I don't know, Nick, Phil. Sorry, looks like you want to say something there, but where you at?
Just even just talking about the future of like Toronto, like what, in your opinion, what damage did Brad Treliving do to the relationship with Mitch Marner at the trade deadline?
I think it's broken. I don't know how that is a salvageable relationship going forward. It doesn't look good when at the end of the day, you just don't let that get to him in terms of, you ranting, and like, I know that's Carolina coming to you, but if you really view him as a really good player, you don't even make that aware to him. My assumption, you're just like, not a chance. Like, we're not trading him. We'll talk about other players on the roster, but we're not talking about him. The fact that you had to go to him to see if you want to approve the trade, I don't know how you fix that, Nick, right? That's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically telling the guy, listen, we have an opportunity to move you here, and would you be okay with it? Like, I mean, the player's probably going to take it. I mean, if it was me, I would take it as, okay, these guys are, it doesn't, for me, it wouldn't matter what the return is. It'd be, okay, these guys don't want me here.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, they're professionals and whatever, but part of that's gonna impact your game. It's gonna impact you mentally. And, to have that happen in a season where I mean, they had a really, really good regular season. They won their division, and then all of a sudden we're, a month and a half away from playoffs and this stuff's getting out. Like to think that it's not going to have an impact on your team is naive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's for sure. So, anyways, let's see what they do here. It's they obviously have they have the Sens have them thinking, and the conversation has started in that locker room. And well, they say they can try to leave it out. It's still there. Breaking sticks on the bench, but like Kelly already said, you may be even breaking a stick if you're up 5-0 too, because you missed a good pass or a good play or whatever, but you often don't see it a lot. But we'll see what happens. It is interesting, like Cale Makar going to that quickly go to that Dallas series. He's not having the greatest playoffs in himself right now, and he just got nominated for the Ted Lindsay. It's kind of weird to see the playoffs that he's having, to know the potential that he can get to. But again, it doesn't feel like that series is far from over. It feels like that can go 7, and they're going to get a boost going back to Colorado. Anyone want to go on a quick rip on that series there?
That's to me has probably been the best series
Yeah.
that I've watched. And I'll be honest, I don't know if it's particularly close. Um, that's just two heavyweight teams going at each other. And I mean, for me, the most impressive part, like when we did our pre-playoff pod, I talked about, for me, it was going to be seeing how Dallas's depth steps up, and with Robertson and Heiskanen being out, and quite frankly, like I think all their guys have stepped up really, really well. I've been really impressed. I mean, Rantanen just scored his first playoff goal there in game 5. Like,
Yeah.
and they won 2 games before that. And, there were 2 overtime wins and they'd only led for like a minute and 2 seconds in those first 4 games. But it doesn't matter how you win it or how long you're leading for. If you just got to get somehow you just got to climb to 4 wins, and Dallas has put themselves in a really, really good spot. And Colorado's, I think that game, I think it's Thursday, right? Is
Yeah.
tomorrow. I think that's gonna be an awesome game.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to it.
And that just shows you the level of coaching in those series, where the adjustments are so good back and forth, where things aren't lingering over from one game to another. Because Colorado gets the convincing 4-0 win in their barn, and then Dallas comes back and doesn't have a great performance in their barn, right, Phil? So it just looks like two great coaches going at it too.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's we talk about the playoff format and that these heavyweights have to face each other right off the bat, but it is good hockey, right?
Yeah, 100%. All right. Yeah, and we're seeing this Jet series is still going on. It looks we'll see what happens here. There's comebacks can happen at any point. So Hellebuck called himself out, and so far so good for him, putting up a good performance in this game right now. And then let's see what happens with the Vegas Golden Knights, as they're up 3-2 in their series, and obviously Gustafsson left because he was ill, but the Blues are just hemming the Jets in this period, as you would think they would be coming at them at waves. But anyone want to talk about the Vegas series there and how we're seeing that team shape up and kind of get going here? I think the adjustment with Wild Bill going with Jack Eichel was a good little line switch, Nick, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Like Vegas, they're not flashy, but you can tell they're built for this time of year. And they might blow you out. They might, win in overtime, but either way, you're pretty much going to get their very best every night. And they're big and they're heavy. And, like I said, I think they're built for the playoffs. So, I believe that it's going to be Edmonton and Vegas in the next round. And I think that's going to be a really good series.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree there. All right, Phil, you have anything to add? You want to add before we sign
No,
up?
I just want to say Minnesota is actually surprising me with how well they're actually doing against Vegas. And Kaprizov, what has he got, 5 goals?
Yeah, Boldy's look good too.
Yeah, like, and so I wouldn't 100% count them out yet either.
Yeah,
Um, because I think they're giving Vegas almost everything they've got, and yeah, I think they're doing well for where they finished in the standings.
yeah, yeah. They were banged up there for a bit. They probably would have finished much higher if they if they weren't that hurt on the whole roster side of things. And they're going to have a boatload of money to play with next year because all those Parises and Suitors contracts are all cleared off the books. So whatever they continue to do now is going to be a lot better even going forward too. So great on Bill Guerin and that organization in terms of what they've been able to do. And Bill Guerin's a proven winner, as we've seen it as a player and we've seen it as an executive as well too. So he knows how to find talent and knows how to get trades done, and he believes in the right system going forward. So all right. That's everything we have there. So appreciate everyone for tuning in to the 2 Months Hockey Podcast presented by Kentwood Ford and our presenting sponsors in Boston Pizza and our friends at Shadified Salon and Barbershop as well too. So thanks to everyone there, and stay tuned. We'll have another episode coming out probably in the next few days. We'll see how that all goes, but continued success, everyone. Stay humble, stay kind, and let's enjoy the great playoff hockey that we're seeing right now.